Look at me, 92, and I still enjoy swimming and golfing and biking, all sports.
Whoopee.
That too.
Are you looking for the perfect gift for any sports fan, or just looking to add some stuff to your own man cave? Then head on in to MVP Collectibles at the St. Augustine Outlets Mall. They carry Seminoles, Gators, Bulldogs, Canes, Longhorns, Bama, Buckeyes, Wolverines, Vols, you name it. They have Patriots, Jaguars, Titans, Dolphins, Browns, Ravens, Steelers, Chiefs, whoever you're looking for. Yankees, Red Sox, Cardinals, Braves, whoever you like. The best selection you'll ever find for the sports fan that thinks they have it all. That's MVP Collectibles in the St. Augustine Outlets Mall, Suite 245, right across from the food court in the St. Augustine Outlets Mall. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6. Get your man cave popping today at MVP Collectibles.
We are the Armchair Quarterback Show, your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
Real men of genius. Today we salute you, Mr. Fantasy Football Manager Guy. Every year you assemble your closest friends to prepare for another season in the knockdown, drag-out world of make-believe football. You were born with the one skill every manager needs to play fantasy football. Absolutely no skill playing real football. Mr. Fantasy Football Manager.
Make sure to join the Armchair Quarterbacks right here. You want to win your league? Then listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks. And don't be scared to tap that app. Find the Armchair Quarterbacks app today.
Fantasy football time.
Hey, this party's getting a little too quiet. I think it's time we liven it up with my favorite gift, Mr. Microphone.
Hey, what's that?
Well, you set the dial on your FM radio and testing.
I'm on the radio!
Over any FM car radio.
Hey, good looking. We'll be back to pick you up later.
I got one.
I got one.
I got one.
I got one.
It's practical and great fun for the whole family.
This year, choose a yogurt that's right for you. With 2 grams of sugar per 5.3-ounce serving, Too Good Greek yogurt is too good to be true. So Delicious dairy-free yogurt and Silk yogurt alternatives are delicious plant-based swaps you can enjoy by the spoon or add to recipes. Oikos 000 yogurt and Light and Fit yogurt are tasty, non-fat yogurt options. So many flavors, varieties, and possibilities. Elevate any recipe and your everyday with yogurt. Shop at Target.
Hi, this is Britney Spears.
What up, this Jay-Z.
This is Jennifer Lopez. Armchair.
That's right, I stepped up. She's my friend and she needed help. If I had to, I'd pee on any one of you.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
Make sure to listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Good enough for us down here in the bayou. Go Tigers and the Armchair Quarterbacks.
It's morning.
Yes, and what a lovely morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We've talked the whole night through.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're here to come up with the next phony baloney crisis to put Americans back where they belong, in dark rooms, glued to their televisions, too terrified to skip the commercials.
Well, I think...
NBC, you are here to listen and not speak. I think we should go with a good old-fashioned public health scare.
A new disease. No one's immune.
It's like the summer of the shark, except instead of a shark, it's an epidemic. And instead of summer, it's all the time. That is okay.
Now, I hate to be the guy who derails what everybody else loves.
He loves being that guy.
But, Janice, we do have standards. This can't be a made-up disease. The only moral thing to do is release a deadly virus into the general public.
We do have something we've been holding on to, but it hasn't been tested. Get over here, NBC.
Well, we certainly believe in testing, but
Armchair.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good morning, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. Major League Baseball gets going today at 1:10 Eastern. Giolito versus Shoemaker are scheduled. At 4:10, it's Colorado versus San Diego. And at 7:40, Cincinnati hosts the San Francisco Giants. At 7:05, you got the Rays doing battle in Baltimore. Marlins are at the Phillies, and the Mets are at Atlanta at 7:20. At 7:37, Red Sox and Blue Jays, Washington at the Cubs, and 7:45, Pittsburgh and Cahill at St. Louis and Flaherty. At 8:05 Eastern, it's the Yankees versus the Rangers. 8:07, Cleveland versus LA. At 8:10 Eastern, Milwaukee's at Kansas City. The Royals and Brewers both scrapping for wins at this point. And at 9:40, Houston is at Oakland again. At 10:10, the late slate, Detroit at Seattle. And the D-backs are at the Dodgers. The Stanley Cup playoffs get rolling at 6:30. You got Washington at the Boston Bruins. And at 8 o'clock, Game 2 of the Preds versus the Canes. And at 9 o'clock, Winnipeg is at Edmonton. And 10:30, the puck drops late out in Colorado as the Avs host the St. Louis Blues. In the NBA playoffs tonight, it's Memphis versus San Antonio on the early game, and at 10 o'clock Eastern, the Lakers square off with the Golden State Warriors. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for more of the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show and YouTube Live. Please like, subscribe, and share our show today. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports talk, live from the First Coast. Good morning. It's time to wake up, y'all. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We're here weekdays on CBS Radio, YouTube Live, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. The Armchair Quarterback Show, your first choice for Southern sports talk. Good morning, Mr. Sean O'Toole.
Good morning. I don't know much, but history was made last night. I know everybody was watching. I know I was too. You see how I'm all decked out? That's right. Sabrina Ionescu, the first triple-double in New York Liberty history. WNBA regular season. Let's go. I'm just kidding. Spencer Turnbull, no-hitter. It's beautiful.
I'm allowed to recover from that. Hi, I'm Mac McGinn. I don't know much, but I know one thing. Everyone's overrating that Kevin Pillar injury to his face. That, to me, just looked like a good old Saturday night in Middle Tennessee in the mid-'90s. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks. And remember to duck.
I want to thank the American people, most of all, for the selfless sacrifices that they're making.
I can't believe
for
you're
our
a
nation.
professional golfer. I think you should be working at the snack bar. You better relax, Bob. There is no way that you could have been as bad at hockey as you are at golf.
All right, let's go. Oh! You like that, old man? You want a piece of me?
I don't want a piece of you. I want the whole thing. Oh!
Now you're gonna get it, Bobby.
The price is wrong, bitch.
I think you've had enough. No? Now you've had enough, bitch.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man.
Hey, howdy, hi, top of the morning to you. Welcome to the Armchair Quarterback Radio Show. I'm Mac McGee, sit next to Sean O'Toole. If I can quit hitting the wrong button, there we go. Batting practice, and that's the second time I've done that in like a minute. I accidentally hit a Trump thing from last year. I'm like, oh Lord, they're going to cancel us for sure now.
Oh, I heard it.
YouTube's already shut down the site. We're already getting notices. The Gestapo's about to kick in the door. Okay. Sean O'Toole, how the hell are you this morning, sir?
Man, I'm fantastic. I know we're going to talk about Detroit in a minute. We'll get to it in Major League Baseball later. I felt horrible this morning. I didn't see a single pitch of it. I didn't see it till I woke up this morning. I had a horrible reaction to something Tuesday night and only slept, Monday night and only slept 1 hour. So I went to bed at like 8:15 last night. Missed the entire no-hitter. Woke up to like 19 notifications on my phone. But good for Spencer Turnbull, Alabama boy, Nashville native, lives in Nashville. I don't think a lot of people know that. Yep. Went to the University of Alabama. Really, really happy for him because he was one of our picks when we were still good. You know, he was in the 14 draft when the Tigers were still good. Really great for him. I know we got another.
I remember when he was drafted, and I remember there being a lot of hype around him. And he's been okay. You know, here and there. He's someone that you necessarily go after for fantasy purposes, but I do know I've streamed him from time to time, depending on the matchup. And nothing to take away from his accomplishment. That was great. It's cool to see the Tigers, do something like that last night. But man, I'm telling you right now, I'm getting numb to the no-hitter because it's got nothing to do with, the fact that it was a Tiger or something like that. I'm not trying to make some kind of joke. What I'm saying is there's 5 already, and these batters are they suck.
Yeah, they're swinging for the moon.
Like 225 is the new 300. It sucks.
Really?
And they've got to figure it out because it makes a boring product.
Yep.
And look, I was pounding this drum 5 years ago, and now it's finally coming to fruition. The fact that everyone starts swinging out of their cleats and trying to hit a home run every single time. This is what you're going to get. You're going to get no hits. You're going to get strikeouts. Strikeouts are cool in a big situation, but you don't want to save like 15 of them a game per team because it's like the ball never gets put in play. But anyways, before we get into the NHL playoffs, which I really want to get into, there's a bit of a feud that I guess has been brewing for a while between Barstool Sports and ESPN. ESPN yesterday. I had to go back and watch the clip because I don't watch Around the Horn anymore. I still watch PTI, but when I flip through Around the Horn, I'm going to be honest, I see the faces, and if it's people I like, I'll watch. If it's people I don't like, I go, ugh. And Sarah Spain is number 1 with a bullet. She was on the show yesterday. So if I would have been, I didn't look for it yesterday, but if I would have been and seen Sarah, I would have just been like, no, she might be an okay person outside of work, whatever, but her takes are terrible. And she always seems like she's forcing some kind of a cancel culture on something. And it's so anyways, I had to go back and rewatch it. And the take is that it's coming off of a Barstool Sports pod with Dan Campbell, the head coach of the Lions.
Yeah.
He's talking, right. And he's talking about wanting to have an actual lion on the sidelines for Detroit, kind of like the way they do with LSU is what but a lot of it was tongue in cheek. And the fact that he was talking about have the lion do his business at midfield during practice to make his players tougher. I didn't listen to the podcast, but from my understanding, it was very tongue-in-cheek and joking around. ESPN then turned around and then made it a serious conversation as far as should they be doing this and da-da-da-da-da. And I went back and I rewatched it, and I don't think it's as extreme as the response. Now, the response are funny from Barstool and Tony Reality, because it's not them. Tony Reality comes in and he apologizes, but which I don't think he needed to do. But Tony's always been like the ultimate politician, so he's
the high school principal of that show for sure.
Well, just for ESPN in general, I always feel like it's never going to shock me if all of a sudden Tony's running for governor, because I'm like, he's always like trying to kiss everybody's ass on both sides. So if I were him, I would have been like, I stand by what we did, because I went back and watched and I was like, it's really not that big a deal. And they didn't focus on the fact that it was Barstool Sports. It was just kind of a comment, whatever. Was it an overtake? Yes. But at the same token, they're just trying to fill a television spot for 60 seconds talking about a lion taking a dump on the field. Right. And so it's going to get people's attention. So I get it from the production side of it. I don't think it's the biggest thing in the world. And, if I was going to take someone to task, I will take ESPN to task every time that I feel like that they're in the wrong. But I just don't think it was a big deal. What say you?
As the resident Lions,
I don't know.
As the resident Lions fan of the Armchair Quarterback Network, I have to say, first of all, that the humor is coming from the fact that this is a real thing that the Lions owners did in the 1950s. You can find pictures of it. They had a pet lion. Okay. So I think Dan was coming from there. Listen, I'm on the record saying I love Dan Campbell. I love everything about this dude. I'm really excited to watch the Lions this year. I can't tell you the last time I said that statement. This is the kind of stuff that really bothers me, and is why I really don't watch much sports coverage, especially any kind of opinion show like Around the Horn or PTI or really anything. Why I just really don't watch anything on TV at all, because when you're not showing, when we grew up as kids, right, ESPN2 and ESPN News, we had ESPN Classic, right, they would actually show sports from time to time, and now they're filling 18 hours a day with opinions people, with talking heads, and they're going to manufacture crap like this.
What's funny
about drives me crazy.
What's funny about the comment, Sean, is that in the middle of this, Woody Page chimes in. I didn't even know he was on Twitter. Woody Page chimes in. He goes, they'll obviously haven't seen me recently because I'm funny too. Because they're saying that the comments were that ESPN was taking it too serious.
Right.
And da-da-da-da-da. He's like, oops. And everyone just goes in and just berates him and says, look, you old fart, get out of the way. This is Twitter.
ESPN has some
and awesome I still people. Like Woody Page, man. I don't care what anyone
I like
says.
Woody too.
If I see Woody on Around the Horn, I actually am likely to stop, even if someone terrible is on there with them, which 9 times out of 10 it's going to happen. But I still like Woody because he makes me laugh. There's a lot of them that I do like. Don't get me wrong. Around the Horn, like I love Kalashaw. I think he's great.
Kalashaw's great.
I'm forgetting the one gentleman's name. It's skipping me. He's got the beard. He's bald.
Kevin Blackistone.
Yes, Blackistone. Most of his stuff I like. He'll go a little woke sometimes, but whatever. Sometimes you get hit on the head and you forget who you are or whatever.
Well, sometimes when in Rome.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that too. So maybe he's going to be a part of the ticket, the Reality Blackistone ticket for the governorship of New York, because I guarantee you
they have
a certain someone's not getting reelected.
They have Emily Kaplan on Around the Horn a lot. She's one of the few people I'll stop and pay attention to.
She's not bad. She's not bad.
She is one of the best NHL writers literally ever, and she's 27 years old. She's a prodigy.
She's
and
27?
I think she's 27 or 28. She's really young.
First of all, how do you know her age? That's creepy. And then the other thing is, she looks.
You can wiki.
I don't mean to say this to be mean, but I thought
you can wiki people.
I don't know what that means, buddy. But this is a family show.
Wikipedia.
Don't be wikiing people on here.
Here we go.
I'm going to need to see your hands at all times. I honestly thought she was older than that, and I don't mean
she's really young.
I don't mean she looks like hell. I mean she just looks older. So I don't know how to get out of this without moving on. But
yeah, we need to move on. It's
I
not a
was
big deal.
guessing late 30s, which, anyways, but she's not bad. The one that you like that is just terrible, that's all over the NFL Network. If I see her, I'm out too, because she is just so phony. I can't think of her name.
You're referring to Mina?
Yes. Yes. Okay. Joey and I have had many conversations on Thursdays about you liking her and how the hell dare you, and that kind of thing, because she is just nauseating. But it's not the show, it's the participants. And so it's just like if I turn over PTI, if it's not Tony and what's the name? I'm drawing a blank. Michael Wilbon.
Right.
If it's not them together, then it's a crapshoot if I'm going to stay, because I have to see what the combo is and what are they going to talk about. Because 9 times out of 10, if Tony's not there, it's 47 topics about the NBA, right? And and I'm like, I'm out. Who cares?
Well, that's also usually very indicative of who the subs are, because Frank Isola has been a sub a lot over the years, who has covered the Knicks for, the New York Daily News forever.
Yeah,
so,
but it's more got to do with Tony, because if Isola comes on with Tony, you don't see the same type of topics. It's because Wilbon is fully leaned into the NBA, and of course they just elected him to the Basketball Hall of Fame. I don't know if it was I'm assuming it was
writer's wing. Yeah,
it was the writer's wing, but it could be from his broadcasting as well, because they were talking about it's about time, and they said something about aren't you already in already? And anyways, don't know about that part, but anyways, we'll move on. But my whole point is that I think it was a little overhyped, even though that show, it's rough with some of the people that they bring on, and you're like, it was
Barstool,
good back in
if
the
you've
day.
listened to any Barstool at all, especially
a plashy,
right? It's just manufactured. It's manufactured controversy. If you listen to any Barstool podcast at all, they're very tongue in cheek. Ryan Whitney's Spit and Chicklets, brand is basically making fun of the fact that he was kind of like a nobody in the NHL, and he brings people on and they make fun of stuff. That's Barstool's brand. Yeah. So I don't understand where this is coming from.
Enough of your Barstool, infomercial. Let's move on. The NHL playoffs last night. Did you get a chance to catch much of it? I watched the Tampa game, and I watched the Islanders lose to the
Islanders. Boy, it's tough in Islandersville with the goaltending situation. We'll kind of skip that, because Tampa Bay, Florida is really, I really want that series to go 7 games. I was afraid it wouldn't, and I actually took Tampa in 5 in my bracket, just because, I mean, they have just so many weapons. It's obscene. And with Florida not having Ekblad, it's just a huge disadvantage for them. Now, I will say they've been up to the task in the first 2 games. They've hit hard. They've back-checked really well. I just don't know where they're going to get the goals from. And I've not been a big believer in Bobrovsky for a very long time. I mean, he got that contract off the back of a contract year in Columbus. The rest of his career, he's basically been a league average or slightly above average goalie. But he got a huge deal from them off one playoff run with Columbus when they famously swept Tampa Bay in the first round. I just don't see it. I hope they take it deeper, because, man, those fans at BB&T Arena, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that gets people into hockey if they're not already hockey fans.
What I saw of it was that Drieger is a pretty damn good goaltender, but you can only take so many shots. Right. It was an onslaught and so much pressure. Eventually one's going to sneak through. So I'm not going to say that Florida's out of it. It's 2-0 going back to Tampa. We've seen crazier things happen with hockey because it's such a low scoring sport. It really just comes down to if I really think from what I've been watching of it, if Florida can get the lead and not have to chase, then we're talking about a totally different story. But if they are constantly having to chase, it opens up, makes them more vulnerable on the defensive side, and that's where Tampa's going to just attack. The Islanders game, the Islanders are tied, and in any way you look at it, they gave up the first 2. The first goal the second goal of the game was a garbage goal. Okay,
Luke, yeah.
9 times out of 10, that thing does not go through. So I'm encouraged by the Islanders being 1-1 heading back to New York. They'll have the crowd rocking. They've already talked about how they're going to do the fans. They should have a decent size fans allowed in there. It may not be the capacity you're seeing at Florida, but they've already gone over it. And essentially what they're going to do is they're going to leave it up to individual stadiums, and they're going to have COVID area, vaccine area, COVID area. Everyone with COVID, go sit over there. Vaccine area, and then the non-vaccinated area. And so I would think you're going to be a little around half capacity, maybe a little more. But I think what they'll try to do is they'll try to put the vaccine in front of the ice so it looks more packed, right?
Right.
Or where the camera is. So
that's what Carolina's done so far. The Carolina experience on television looks awesome. So, if we can get that, the Canadians, it was a big announcement yesterday. The Montreal Canadiens said they're going to allow fans at their game starting on the 29th, which, they might not make it much further.
December?
No, 29th of May. They may not make it much further than that because the Maple Leafs might, might wash them in 4, but so they may only get to see 2 games, but it's a start. I'm not gonna criticize any.
Has there been any update, Sean, on what they're going to do about when you finally get them out of their bracket? Where the Canadian teams are they going to be able to go travel? What the hell are they going to do?
Just reading between the lines of what I've heard from Bill Daly, and Bill Daly's the person that I listen to a lot. He goes on a lot of NHL podcasts. I will say, for all of Bettman's flaws, his lieutenant, Bill Daly, who's the assistant commissioner, basically, or the lieutenant governor of the NHL, he does do a lot of media. Just reading between the lines of what he said, he's been hinting at the fact that it's probably going to be
cigarettes.
It's probably going to be a neutral site. My guess would be in, one of the Dakotas, or they'll ask the Minnesota Wild if they can use their rink as the neutral site for the Canadian
teams. So in other words, okay, but they come over into the United States. Is there going to be like some kind of waiting period where they have to?
No.
Okay.
Nope. That was
my biggest concern.
They've been negotiating with the Canadian government, trying to get the Canadian government to let the U.S. teams come back and forth, and they're just not having it. So it's going to be a neutral site, I think, for the Canadian team home games when we get there.
For all the joking that we do on here, that's a draconian shutdown right there. I mean, the Canadian government. I mean,
in Ontario especially, it's pretty bad.
That's what you get when you get socialism, at its finest. I've seen videos where people are taking videos of themselves because they're shut down. They can't do anything, and yet across the waters of the United States, and they're like, "Should we just swim for it?" Kind of thing. They're not.
Extremism in all forms is dangerous.
Yeah,
it's everybody.
It's funny. We're all worried about the COVID coming in from the southern border, and building the wall in Texas. The irony would be, have some kind of a spill coming in from Canada because people are trying to swim for it. And I'm like, screw it, I can make it to Maine. Let's go. All right. Just get people caught up real quick. The Wild lost last night to the Vegas Knights. That game was 3-1, late as hell. Neither one of us watched it, but
I definitely did not.
But the series is tied. We get another goofy ass regular season game today of Vancouver and Calgary.
Last one. It's the last one.
Great. Last game of the season. Everyone's like, wait a minute. I thought we were in game 3 of the playoffs. Game 3 tonight, 6:30. You get Washington at Boston. The Preds are at the Canes. They're down 1-0, and Winnipeg and Edmonton at 9:00 tonight. Real quick on the Preds and Canes, and then we've got to do our picks. I was encouraged by how Nashville played the first couple of periods. Then the dam kind of broke, and it was all over with crying. Do you give them any shot in taking this series past 5 games?
I really don't. Dom Luszczyszyn, who writes for The Athletic, is one of my favorite hockey analytics guys. And he has a progression model and a projection model. And this was actually his second highest likelihood of series to be a 4-game sweep, right behind Toronto over Montreal. So it's just so unevenly matched. I mean, Nashville really only goes about 5 forwards deep and, really 3 defenders deep. And Carolina's one of the deepest teams in the league. I mean, I haven't seen how they're going to reseed everybody once the brackets are done and once everybody comes out of their divisions. But if we get a Carolina-Colorado matchup at any point, I mean, Katie bar the door. That would be one of the most amazing matchups of all. Carolina is really good. I mean, they're in some order either the second or third best team in all of the National Hockey League. They have good goaltending, and Nashville just doesn't have the guns to withstand it. It's like one side with 4 guys who can fight, and the other side has 15 guys who can fight. It's just going to be so difficult for them to take it past 5. I wouldn't be surprised if they took it past 5 because they got a lot of heart, but they're just so outgunned and outmanned, especially in the forwards.
I'm hoping that they pull off a shocker tonight because it would really galvanize the fan base for the 2 games
coming back to Nashville.
Yeah. I just don't want to see them swept is the big thing. I want to see them swept on their home ice. I hope they at least get 1 game, which I think they will. And past that, so we've seen crazier things. We've seen hot teams all of a sudden get ice cold and can't find the net, and then all of a sudden a 2-0 lead is no longer insurmountable. They're fighting for their lives in Game 6. So we'll see what happens there. But we've got to move on to our DFS lineups and our picks of the day because we keep forgetting to do the picks of the day. I'm going to be dedicated to doing this. So before we do anything else, let's hit the DFS lineups, and then we'll do the picks of the day.
Alrighty. So for DFS, I'm going to give everybody a couple of names really quick based on some matchups today. Probably my favorite matchup of the whole day is any Cardinals that you can get at value. Jump on them as fast as you can. Now, when I say Cardinals at value, I'm not going to give you Nolan Arenado. He's not going to be a value. He's going to be like 9,500, 10,000, depending on where you look. But a very, very favorable matchup today at home against the Pittsburgh Pirates, and specifically against Trevor Cahill, who's somebody that we've all streamed for a 2-start week and regretted it about 3 innings in. He's a guy that gives up a lot of hard contact and a lot of exit velocity. Right, exactly.
This week, I was like, "What the
hell?" Lot of exit velocity. So if you can get him on the cheap, and you probably can, guys, I would look at our Tyler O'Neill, Harrison Bader.
I'll tell you 2 pitchers that I like real quick is Rogers of Miami at 9,100 and Ohtani at 7,400 against Cleveland's offense. I like those a lot. I know Ohtani tends to give up walks, and that sucks, but he's also electric with the strikeouts. So I really like those guys. So you're talking about stacking St. Louis Cardinals?
Stacking all the Cardinals hitters you can find.
I in the mornings always fill myself out a lineup, so I'm kind of aware of what's going on. I'll give you a couple ones that I like that are cheap that you might be able to really take value of. Tonight, third base, 3,800, Austin Riley. He's been getting hotter and hotter, and he's facing a lefty tonight, so I really like that matchup. Christian Yelich is coming back. He's only 4,600. And he's in KC. And if he might have a lot of rust, and I get that, but he's also Christian Yelich, and he may not. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that out there. I like those 2 a lot. The rest of my lineup, there's nothing to, get crazy about. I do like Jared Walsh at first base for 4,600 a lot. And I do in Haniger going up against the Tigers tonight. Usually when a team gets no hit one night, the next night they come roaring back. And so
right.
I like the righty lefty matchup there. Did you have anything else before we have to jump to the pick'ems?
No, we'll do the pick'ems. Just against the spread was all I had. We'll do that.
Oh, okay, cool. So what game are you going for today?
So going back to the NBA playoffs really quick. A couple things that I really like. The Lakers -5.5. You're not going to get a lot of value on it. It's -110. But I'm seeing a lot of people, pumping the Warriors out there. And I don't think people have watched enough Warriors games to understand what the Lakers are going to do. They're going to double Steph Curry, and they're going to force somebody else to hit open shots. And the Warriors don't really have a lot of guys that can do that. Maybe 1 or 2. I think this is going to be an absolute bloodbath. I think the Lakers are going to wipe the floor with them. So the Lakers 5.5. And if you can get a parlay on it, like there's one on BetMGM and there's also one on DraftKings. The Lakers and the Grizzlies both to win is +145. Not the greatest odds in the world. You would be forgiven if you haven't watched a lot of Spurs games this year because they're not super watchable, but they don't really have anyone that can deal with Ja. And with Derek White out, they don't have anyone that can score. So I'm going Grizzlies and Lakers tonight. If you can get some value on it, grab it if you can.
Well, which one are you going with? Because this is a pick'em. So which game are you picking? What line?
Lakers -5.5.
Lakers -5.5. Okay. And then real quick, I'm taking Trevor Rogers and the Marlins in Philly. It's a +114. It's a good grab. Rogers is going up against Eflin. Eflin's been pretty good, but something people may not know, you know how every team's got their Achilles heel. The Phillies have a really hard time with the Marlins. They have for years, and I like Rogers getting there. And plus the fact that it's a +114, I'll take that any day of the week. If people haven't watched Rogers, he's a strikeout machine, and he can keep the score low. I also kind of like the under in that game. It's 8 because I think Eflin is going to keep the game low as well. All right, let's take a really quick break. When we come back, we're going to dive into the playoffs. In the NBA, it's essentially began, and a ridiculous thing that is going on in Major League Baseball with the unwritten rules that I'm normally in favor of. This one is dumb. We'll be back in a flash on the Armchair Quarterbacks.
This time I'm gonna kick that football clear to the moon.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Slide here is your X. But if that's the call, Mike, Will, and Sam all have to know they're shifting. Open palms to post, thumbs ups to crosser, thumbs downs and out. Trevor, why don't you get up here and draw that for us?
Playing real football is hard. Playing fantasy football when you got the Armchair Quarterbacks by your side makes it a lot easier. Make sure to join the Armchair Quarterbacks right here. We'll answer all your questions, pickups, trades, you name it. You want to win your league? Then listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Fantasy football time.
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by Honest Ed's Used Cars, where every car we sell is backed by an ironclad guarantee that is so complete and comprehensive that we really don't see any need to put it in writing. And remember Honest Ed's motto, if any used car dealer anywhere in the country says he can sell you the same car cheaper than we will, then he's even a bigger liar than I am. And remember, if you'd like to learn one of life's most valuable secrets, just send $20 to the announcer in care of this station.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Hello?
Hi, is Mark there?
Yeah?
It's me, Shannon. We met at Jack's party.
Yeah, how can I forget? Wow, how you doing? I haven't heard from you in,
9 months.
Armchair.
Good morning. Welcome back here to Armchair Quarterbacks Radio. So that clip you just heard, right before that you heard Sean's voice, and I cut it. It's because it's the old time, and I just realized that is not the right commercial. So I've edited it, but I didn't want to go, hey, you're listening to Drive Time, 8 a.m. to so anyways. Sean, we have got a stupid thing going on in baseball. We're going to lead off with this.
I know where you're going.
Normally, I am big time a fan of the unwritten rules. The problem is they're starting to make them up. And there's like 4,800 now, and they're starting to make it up. And I've watched baseball my entire life. I am the biggest baseball fan I've ever known. I will take it over as much as I love college football, as much as I love the NFL. What people don't know about me until I started doing the shows, that I actually love baseball more. It's my first and last passion. It's probably would be slapped on my tombstone. Loved baseball and his wife too. like in parentheses. But when you start talking about these unwritten rules, and so here's the situation. A couple of nights ago, White Sox Twins, La Tortuga was pitching with a 15-4 lead or 14-4, whatever the hell the score was. It was a blowout late in the game.
He was down 15-4, but yeah,
right.
You're right.
And they were getting murdered, so they put a position player in, which he's done this a couple times this year. And he has a 3-0 pitch to Mercedes for the White Sox, who is scorching fire right now. This guy's never really had a big contract, so what the hell do you think he's trying to do? He's trying to pad stats.
Yep.
And a 3-0 ephus pitch that was just basically, it was a balloon that came in, and Tortuga took it in, put it into the night sky. Okay. He goes around the bases. The idiot broadcaster for the Twins, I'm forgetting his name, the color commentator. He's an ex-baseball player.
I always turn them off. They're horrible.
And he starts complaining and saying, I don't like it. It's 3-0 count. You're going to get the same pitch the next blah, blah, blah. Okay. Here's the thing, and I'm all about the unwritten rules in baseball. I'm always all about. I still say, and I know I'm in the minority because a lot of the the kitty fans out there think that it's great to show up the opposing pitcher and flip your bat at him and all that stuff. I still say that's unwritten rule. You give the man a rib sandwich. It is what it is. But a 3-0 pitch, I've never heard that in my entire life until just recently, that was an unwritten rule in baseball, that you don't swing at it. Because they're talking about not swinging at a 3-0 pitch in baseball when the game's a lot closer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? You used to sit dead red on 3-0 because you knew what was coming.
Yep.
It gives you the advantage. Why wouldn't you want to be 3-0, right? Why do you want to take it to 3-1? Then at 3-1, you don't necessarily know, because the opposing pitcher, now they kind of got you, in a place where if you take this one and go down 3-2, then it's any man's game. And so a lot of pitchers will throw it right off the plate on 3-1, right? So that's the stupidest thing. And then to add to it, and then I'll give the mic to you. If you don't want a guy blasting a home run into the night when you're down 15-4, don't put your fat ass DH out there to pitch. If it's that big a deal, then go. You can't have it both ways. You can't say we're not going to burn any pitchers because this game's out of hand and who cares, and then turn around 2 seconds later and say, well, I care about the fact that you're scoring another run. No. The only people that should care is if it's like fantasy baseball related or something, right? But this and so anyways, to cut to the chase, I think I left this out. Last night, the Twins threw behind Mercedes. Kid's name was Duffy. Duffy was ejected. Baldelli, the manager, was also ejected, and they're all up in arms about it. It's a manufactured hatred over a stupid, non-existent, unwritten rule. What say you?
Right. Yeah, the gasoline on the fire for people who follow the league, and especially for White Sox fans, is that their manager, 746-year-old Tony La Russa, said, Mercedes would be punished in-house after it happened before the game. And then last night said he didn't have a problem with the Twins throwing behind him. This is just dumb. I mean, we went through this. I don't remember if it was last year or the year before when Tatis hit a 3-0 grand slam off the Rangers, I think it was. And everybody was open arms about unwritten rules. This is the same pearl clutching, as much as I love Keith Law is one of those guys who's always, defending cancel kids and all of this, getting up in arms and everything. You said that Keith Law, he was a writer for ESPN. He writes for The Athletic. He's covered the league for like 30 years. You said the thing that I was going to say. So you made a very salient point. You can't have it both ways. If Freeman had taken Rizzo yard, 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago on Sunday Night Baseball, instead of Rizzo striking him out, we wouldn't be having this conversation, because those are two franchises that just don't subject themselves to this kind of yuckity yuck. And you got the Twins who are having, just a cataclysmic, awful, depressing season where they're staring up at the Tigers, and are just awful. And you've got the White Sox who are in first place, who are one of the best stories in baseball, who can't stop, getting quotes from their geriatric manager that their idiot billionaire 80-year-old owner never should have hired in the first place. He shouldn't have fired Rick Hahn, because Rick Hahn didn't do a bad job. So he just hired his buddy. So this is same thing. This is all manufactured outrage. And I don't see it unless they win the World Series. I really wonder if LaRusso will make it out of this year, because the Reinsdorf family is just eating rocks from the media in Chicago every single day about this guy because he says something stupid. So I don't have a problem with Mercedes hitting the pitch.
What is your issue with LaRusso? He didn't do anything wrong. This is Baldelli's.
You don't think LaRusso should have stood up for his player and not thrown more gasoline on the fire? Because he was in media Zooms Monday night and yesterday saying
LaRusso's 1,000% right. If you look at the pitch, it was like 7 feet behind he was never going to hit him. It was like, it was just a warning shot. And that's what he was saying is I don't have an issue with it. Because I think it would be a much different issue, Sean, if it was like a blam to the head like Pilar got which by the way was not intentionally for people
not at all. Jacob Webb has no
watch
control.
The game, right? Well, for people who didn't watch the game, it wasn't that far off the play. Anyways, pointless to bring that up. But he's 1,000% right. The ball was like 7-8 feet off the plate behind the hitter, and he's saying I don't have it, because when he's saying I don't have an issue, he's basically saying we're not going to come back after him. And if you are going to come back after them, you're not going to tell the media you're going to come back after them. That's just the way you do things.
I have more of an issue.
Russo's 1,000% right. And the whole thing about people want to throw Russo under the bus about knowing the run rule, 99% of baseball fans did not know that rule until it became a national news story. I guarantee you. Because we didn't have that rule last year because we had no pitchers hitting. So that's just, I mean, I think he's being cancel cultured because of his age, and I think that's wrong as hell, to be honest with you. So I'm pulling for LaRusso because of that. I think it's ridiculous that these millennials and Gen Zs and whatever you want to call them, that they want to cancel culture an old guy. Oh, you can't hire the old white guy to run the Chicago White Sox, which, by the way, when LaRusso was growing up, an Italian American, he was discriminated against, but all of a sudden he's the old white fart, right? So I just think the whole thing's asinine. But
I'm referring more to his comments Monday night to the media where he said he had a problem with Mercedes swinging at the 3-0 pitch. I'm referring to that more.
I guess, but I still think this comes down to would someone can if I wish someone could go back and show me where this was a unwritten rule 20 years ago, because do you remember it? I guess that's my point.
This has never been an unwritten rule. This is in the last 2 or 3 years.
I thought
this
maybe
is in the last 2 or 3 years.
Okay, that's why I thought this was something that I just did not ever see. I'm like, all the years that I played, all the years that I watched, I don't ever remember saying, don't swing 3-0.
The term in Little League when I was a kid, when you and I were growing up playing baseball, was if you were 3-0, was dead red. There's a term that's 50 years old that specifically applies to this issue. He's sitting dead red.
Right.
That's the unwritten rule is if you're 3-0 and you get a batting practice fastball, put it in the bleachers.
Right.
That's the rule.
The biggest unwritten rule is if you have a 3-0 pitch and you swing at it, it better be down the middle. You better not be reaching for it.
Right.
That's fair. It's such a stupid thing and I think it's been manufactured possibly by ESPN because they're the only ones I remember bringing this up I say a long time ago, several months ago. Because Sean, I'm with you. I don't remember this being a thing. And when they bring it up on MLB Network and they have ex-players talking about it, they're all like, what? What are you talking about? I'm like, okay.
Yeah, they asked D-Row about it. And D-Row was like, dude, if I was 3-0, I was salivating because I knew I was getting cheese.
It's so hard to get a base hit in Major League Baseball, and you get the advantage of having a 3-0 pitch. God.
This is being generated by two things. A, this is a 3 true outcomes problem, right? Because a walk is valuable. Right. A walk is more valuable than an out. So a lot of guys in the last 5 to 7 years have been trained to take that 3-0 pitch, no matter where it is. Whereas some other dudes, are like, if I get something to swack, I'm going to whack it. It's gone. That's their mindset. And then what we said in batting practice, we have so many hours a day now of talking heads that they have to manufacture media. And this is a manufactured media story. It needs to go away. I'm tired of it. Stop it.
Yeah. It's pathetic. By the way, we won't have time to get into it. this week, but real quick take. Is Ben Walsh a Hall of Famer in your book since you're a Pistons fan?
Yes, because we would have to have a bigger conversation about who's in the Basketball Hall of Fame. There are guys in the basketball. They just put everybody in the Basketball Hall of Fame.
I know, but
Everybody.
what I'm saying is the Basketball Hall of Fame is a joke, is it not?
Yes, and he was the best. He was the best defensive player in the league for 6 solid years, and he was the best player on a championship team that went to 4 Eastern Conference Finals.
Well, he was
those guys.
Player
those
on
guys.
That team because you had Billups, you had Prince. I mean,
he was the most important player because
Prince,
the way the game was played
was
then
a much better player than him, and he won't be going to the Hall of Fame because he didn't sustain. Or maybe he is in the Hall of Fame. I totally give up on the Basketball Hall of Fame. I guess
Basketball Hall ofAme is just like put everybody in who was.
If good. I'm Michael Jordan, I'm pissed off that the Basketball Hall of Fame is so. What's the best word for that? It's like floated. The bar is so floated. Low to get in that a Jordan and a Bird, who should be much more revered, I almost think that they've got to come up with a second National Basketball Association Hall of Fame, and you only put the elites in there,
right?
And maybe they'll never stray from that, but someone needs to. We were doing that for the Armchair Quarterbacks a couple of years ago, and I'm really tempted to bring that back, the Armchair Hall of Fame. I think we're going to do that in the very near future. So get ready of that, because we call it the Hall of Unworthy, and we take people out of Hall of Fames, and then we put people in our Hall of Fame. And if you're in our Hall of Fame, damn it, you earned it. We'll do that down the road. Put a pin in that. Remind me, because my memory's shot nowadays. But anyways, here we go. NBA playoffs. I thought I had my soundbite, but I guess we haven't talked about the NBA playoffs in so long I deleted it or something. But here we go. We're going to give it an honest try this year. The NBA playoffs are underway-ish. Last night, 2 games, incredibly boring. Neither one of them close at any point. Celtics knock out Washington. The Pacers officially eliminate Charlotte. So the Pacers and Washington will play tomorrow night. Boston is in. I was pulling against Boston. I didn't watch the game, but I was pulling against them because the game started too late is why I didn't watch it. I went back and watched the highlights. But I wanted Boston to not play Brooklyn the first round. I wanted them to have a puncher's chance against Philly. So we don't have a time to do a deep dive in all these, but what I wanted to do is go through the first round, and you give me your honest opinion of who's going to win and how many games. And I think Indiana is going to beat Washington.
So do I.
And I think Indiana is going to be formidable against Philly if they get in. If it's Philly versus Washington, I think it's a boat race. But I think Indiana can cause some issues. Now, if they win tomorrow night, is that for it all? That's what's been so confusing. Is that winning get in, or do they still have to play another game because one's the higher seed?
Yeah, the winner of the 8-9 game tomorrow night, which is between Indiana and the Washington Wizards, is the 8 seed, and the other team is eliminated from the postseason. That's how it works.
Problem is last year they did it totally different. It's confused the hell out of me. So and so you've got the same situation tonight. The loser of the Spurs Memphis game is eliminated. The winner takes on the loser of Golden State LA. We kind of chatted back and forth yesterday about this. I think Golden State has a chance to upset them. At the time, I thought it was being played in Golden State. Now that I see that it's being played in LA, I might be walking that statement back. But if Steph Curry gets hot, you never know.
Right.
I would love to see Golden State upset Lakers, and then you would get a Friday night winner take all game between Memphis, San Antonio winner, which I'm going to say Memphis is the better team, but I haven't watched them a whole lot. I'm just going off of the fact the records, and I looked at some of their stats. would you give the winner of that game any kind of a puncher's chance if the Lakers happened to be sitting there Friday night with the winner take all?
So I would give Memphis a much better chance against the Lakers. Having said that, no, I don't think they can win than I would against Golden State, because they don't have the scoring to keep up with Golden State. If you want a good prop bet tonight, Steph Curry over 10 threes made is a good one, because he might shoot 25. That's going to be an interesting game tonight. I think what we're going to get is Lakers in the 7 and Warriors in the 8. Memphis is a more capable team than San Antonio. San Antonio's drawn dead. I mean, they were trying to get out of playing this game, and the New Orleans Pelicans just couldn't win any games down the stretch. So, I've seen a lot of the Grizzlies because obviously they're shown locally. John Morant's great. Jaren Jackson Jr. is great. They've got some nice pieces, but they're still a couple years away from being a couple years away. So I think Lakers 7, Warriors 8 is what we'll end up with.
All right. So let's say that happens and we'll move on, and we're going to hit the first round of the NBA playoffs. By the way, if I'm doing this, I don't know if I want to win tonight's game between Golden State.
All the stuff with the Nash teams kept running into Kobe and losing, and Kobe and Powell. That would be really interesting from a narrative
Well, with
standpoint.
the injury to the Suns, the Jazz, I just think the Suns are more dangerous.
It could be.
Lakers at Suns, that could be fun. That could be a lot of fun.
The Suns had a great regular season. Monty Williams was named Coach of the Year yesterday. Very well deserved. A highly regarded NBA head coach in the league. I just, nobody on that team's really done it. Nobody's really proved anything. Like Chris Paul's been in the playoffs, but he's always come up short.
I'll tell you what.
Booker and Ayton are young.
I've totally got a 180 on Chris Paul. Chris Paul to me is not only is he an obvious Hall of Famer if we're going to put Ben Wallace in.
All-time great.
But he is an all-time great because everywhere he goes, they say he's the problem. They send him elsewhere, and he wins. He just wins. And so
he makes your team better.
I am Team Suns this postseason. That's who I'm pulling for, because the Celtics have no shot in hell of getting past the Nets. And so I'll be surprised if they win a game. And even though, basketball is not the most important thing to me right now, he doesn't need it to be important because he's got the beard and KD to knock out the Celtics. So I'm not worried about that. By the way, the schedule for Saturday has been released. You're going to get Heat's Bucks at 2:00. You're going to get Mavs Clippers at 4:30. Celtics Nets at 8:00. And Trailblazers Nuggets at
midnight. At midnight. It's like 10:30 Eastern.
Yeah, 10:30 Eastern. It's at 10:30 Eastern. All those games are on ESPN, but the Celtics game will be at 8. Will be on ABC, but it's still the same Disney. It's all on Disney. That's all you need to know. Sunday's games, they have not released the times, but I'm going to guess that the 76ers game is going to be the early game, like around 1:00, and that Hawks Knicks, which is a fun series, will be around 3:30, and then that would give you most likely the Suns versus Lakers in prime time around 7 or 8 o'clock, and then the Jazz game nobody's going to watch because it's going to be ridiculously late. It's going to be against Memphis or something, and so we're like, whatever, dude. Real quick, because we're going to run out of time here in a second. We'll just go series by series. Heat's Bucks, who wins how many?
I'm going to go Bucks in 6. Competitive.
Bucks in 7. I think the Heat are going to really push them to the limit. It wouldn't shock me if the upset. I haven't been sold on the Bucks. There's something missing on the leadership side of them, as far as in the clutch time.
Yep.
As good as the Greek Freak is, he needs a Robin that he doesn't realistically have. That would be a phenomenal place to put Chris Paul at, by the way. Next one, Mavs Clippers. Who you got?
Clippers in 5, and I don't think it's going to be particularly close.
Wow. Okay. I'm going off the fact that the Clippers underperform. I see Clippers in 6 because I just don't think they're going to. And last year, that was that was a great matchup, even though I know a lot of us were like, what are you talking about last year? They played basketball last year? But it was a phenomenal series. I'm pulling for whoever can knock out the Lakers. So I think it's the Clippers. So I don't really want the Mavericks to win, but I do like a lot of the players on the Mavericks. At the same time, Mark Cuban's a puke. So what do? You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. By the way, why are we taking such a long hiatus here, NBA? 2 o'clock, 4:30, 8 o'clock. What are you doing to us? It's Saturday.
Local news, man. Got to let those NBA viewers watch their local news. Those are the people that are tuning in for the NBA, right? Forbes and people like that, folks that watch the local news.
Yeah, but on Saturday, the news runs much earlier.
I got nothing, man.
I guess what I'm saying is, why not do it 7 o'clock, and then you get the other one going by 9:30 and not freaking 10:30. All right, Trailblazers Nuggets.
This is my upset special. Blazers in 7. I don't love this matchup for the Nuggets without Jamal Murray. And I think I don't know that they're going to bottle up Jokic and Porter and Gordon, but Dame and CJ have done it in the playoffs before.
All right. I'm with you. I think Portland's going to beat them, mainly because Denver took a couple of heavy blows this year, and I just don't know if they can lean that heavily on their star to come out night after night and basically carry the load.
Blazers were sneakily the best team in the league the last 15 games of the year, 13-2. They're coming in hot.
Plus, I knew you were going to take them anyways because of your fantasy baseball name or basketball name or whatever the hell it was we did.
Love me some Dame.
Was it I don't know. What the hell were we playing? Ping pong? The next game, so these are all guesses, but we are going to guess that the 76ers will play, and you just tell me who's going to be there and how the series goes.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Sixers-Pacers. I think the Pacers win tomorrow night, just because I like to see my 14-year-old son happy. He was very happy last night. But the terrible matchup for the Pacers. I think the Sixers are coming out of the East. They've been my pick the whole year, and this could be ugly. I'll say Sixers in 5, gentlemen sweep, but it could be 4.
I've got the Sixers winning against the Pacers, but I'll give your little man hope. I think they win in 6, but it wouldn't shock me if this thing goes to 7. I just think Indiana can pose some problems with the Sixers, and I still, when it's all said and done, I don't know if that internal fire is there with the Sixers, and I've got to see it. They've definitely shown a lot this year. They haven't done it in the playoffs, and so that's where we're at with that. Next one, Hawks Knicks. This is my favorite one of the entire playoffs. I'm taking the Knicks in 6. I think this is a series I'm going to watch. What say you?
Knicks in 5. They played the Hawks. They played the Hawks rugged this year, and this is everybody's going to see Trae Young's faults, especially as a defender.
Well, I just figured Trae Young will get hot enough for them to squeeze out too, but I don't think it'll ever be a situation where you're like, man, the Knicks could lose this series. Like, in other words,
the Hawks have nobody to handle RJ Barrett. He might score 45 a game.
That's true. And Randall and Barrett, they're just monsters. And when Zion comes and joins them in about 5 or 6 years, it's going to be
man, that crowd in MSG is going to be something. I can't wait.
I used to extremely hate the Knicks being a Celtics fan, but that rivalry just doesn't exist anymore. So I am kind of pulling for the Knicks, to be honest with you. I pulled against the Knicks because I was told I was supposed to. I don't live up in either one of those cities. Who gives a damn? I'm pulling for the Knicks, and I like a lot of their players on the team. And it's a cool story. Basketball needs New York to be good if they're ever going to get their fans back.
Big time.
As long as the dopes don't do the LeBron James thing, basketball can recover if the Knicks are relevant. Real quick, we just got to rattle these off because it's almost time to go. Suns. Who knows? Suns, Lakers. We'll just
regardless of who it is, I'm taking the Suns in 6. I would probably say in 5 if it's the Warriors, but the Suns in 6 for me. I don't think the Lakers.
I think the Lakers are in trouble, and I don't think that's even can be understated. I think they're in trouble. I think the Suns are going to run them out of the building. And then any chance that the Jazz get knocked off?
0 zip.
Yeah.
Winning 4.
We
didn't cover Nets Celtics, but that one too. I mean, Nets in 4. Celtics are in 1.
Oh yeah, because sorry, I got
1, 2, 3 Cancun on the Celtics. They're out.
Yeah,
they're
they
gone.
might get one W because the Nets fall asleep in game 3 or 4, but I can see them winning one game on their home court, but losing Brown pretty much sunk them in any chance Boston had to really go through. You can't rely on Tatum because every time the game's on the line, he's shooting from half court instead of driving the damn paint. Be a man. All right, it's time to turn back time and get out of here on another great edition of the Armchair Quarterbacks Radio Show. What the hell is that? Sorry. This app gets stuck and it just freezes on you. You hit a button. All right, turn back time. By the way, that Hall of Unworthy, I kind of like the idea of bringing that back next week. So plan on that, and I'll get with you off air on the details on how we do that. I have to also dig up our old Hall of Fame we already put guys into. Basically, for people who didn't see that, it was guys that are not in the Hall of Fame that we put in our Hall of Fame that deserve to be in there. So, for instance, I know Dale Murphy was put in our Hall of Fame. And then our Hall of Unworthy are guys who were in the Hall of Fame. Is get them the hell out of there, Harold Baines. Okay. On this date in 1984, Mr. Wayne Gretzky, the great one, scores twice as the Edmonton Oilers beat the Islanders 5-2, win the series in the Oilers' first ever Stanley Cup title. And on this date in baseball history in 2004, Julio Franco becomes the oldest Major League Baseball player to hit a pinch hit home run. The first baseman was 45 years old, 269 days when he accomplished the feat. Still one of my all-time favorite jerseys that I had, and I don't know what the hell happened to it. I'm still pissed about that. Birthdays.
It's your birthday today.
54. 54. Happy 54th birthday to Mr. John Freeze. Remember him?
Yes, I do.
Quarterback for the Chargers from 1993. Also played for the Redskins. What I remember him from was the Seattle Seahawks. He was there 95 to 98. And I guess at some point he was backing up the freaking Patriots. So
there you go.
99 to 2000. And so he just missed a damn ring by 1 year. So there you have that. He did win the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award 1989 and was the Big Sky Offensive MVP from 87 to 89, won it 3 years in a row. How about that? All right. And Turk Wendell, he's 54 this year. Today. Turk Wendell, do you remember him?
Very well.
Very underrated reliever, I thought. Pitched for the Cubs, Mets, Phillies, and then finished out with the Rockies. That must have been brutal at the end of your career, going out there and pitching for the Rockies as a reliever in 2004 before there was a humidor. But, extremely underrated when I look at his stats. He had a 3.93 ERA. I'm surprised someone didn't keep him in the league a little longer. I'm wondering if injury or something ended him, but happy birthday to those gentlemen. Sean, what is your walk-off for the day, sir?
My walk-off is a congratulatory welcome to NHL broadcasting for Miss Leah Hextall. If you haven't looked her up, she's a cousin of Ron Hextall, who is with the Flyers. That name may be familiar. She was announced as ESPN's primary NHL play-by-play person, has covered the league for 20 years. Has done a lot of local radio, has done, women's hockey as well, has done Olympic hockey. Very, very well-deserved promotion to the big leagues, and has a wonderful hockey voice, has a wonderful cadence. And I'll look forward to hearing her as opposed to Kenny Albert, who's gotten the names of the goaltenders wrong about 19 times in the Lightning Panthers series so far. Can't keep straight who's Vasilevsky and who's Bobrovsky.
What
I
they need to do,
they both end with ski. It must be really hard. But
what they need to do is hire Beth Mallins for your hockey.
Get out of here.
Pleasure.
Do your walk-offs. Knock it off.
Can you imagine Mallins' voice with hockey names?
No, I really don't want to.
Mallins doing play-by-play. James Forbes as the color commentator, trying to pronounce anybody in the world of hockey. That's just, that's gold, baby. That's gold.
There you go.
My walk-off today is Braves. You got to get a W, son. We didn't get a chance to talk about it yesterday, but the bats are ice cold. I'll be going over that in the Braves country today, which is coming up here in a second. But wow, but I will say this: the bright side is Tucker Davidson looked pretty good. He was solid.
Looked great.
He looked like to me like a young, unpolished Tom Glavine. He's not going to blow you away with his speed, but I did like the hook that he was throwing on people, and the one that Villar got into and just roped was just, it was just nasty. But I thought all in all, they did a pretty darn good job. And Will Smith is not a Major League Baseball closer. He's just not.
Nope. Setup man, middle reliever.
He's a setup man
still missing a closer.
that they paid closer dollars to. And the one that I really want them to get, because I think the Cubs are going to be selling, I'd love to see them get Kimbrel. I just don't see it happening because he's due to make 14 and 15 the next 2 years.
The next 2 years.
All right, brother. Yep. Great job. We will see you on Saturday for the payoff pitch at 10 a.m. Eastern here on Armchair Quarterbacks Live. And have a great rest of your day.
Go Braves.
Go, please.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on these CBS Sports affiliates and catching the show on YouTube Live. We're here weekdays. Find Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live today. Please subscribe and share and take us everywhere you go. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for Southern sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Gonna get another